admits he should have handled this particular case differently. And then 17-year-old boy sexually admitting to sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl. He also now says he's making a couple of policy changes. He calls them minor, but his critics say they're far from it, and it's all further ammunition for those behind the recall. It was a sexual assault of a 10-year-old girl inside a Denny's bathroom that years later resulted in a cold case DNA hit and an arrest of this suspect, then ID'd as James Tubbs. Now a 26-year-old transgender woman, Hannah Tubbs. But since she was a juvenile at the time of the assault, the sentence after a guilty plea, 2 years. Tubbs recorded laughing at the deal in this call first reported on Fox News.
Don't worry about it. It's a strike. But they're going to plead. I'm going to plead out to him. I'm plead guilty. They're going to stick me on probation, and it's going to be dropped. It's going to be gone. Done. I won't have to register once or nothing. For an offender, you don't have to register? I won't have to do none of that. So what are they going to do to you then? Nothing.
Gascon now admits the Tubbs sentence not tough enough, saying in a statement, if we knew about her disregard for the harm she caused, we would have handled this case differently. The complex issues and facts of her particular case were unusual, and I should have treated them that way. What do you make of this?
Well, what I make of this is that he recognizes that the tapes that were going to be issued would be bad, and he's trying to do damage control.
Former prosecutor Kathleen Cady, a leader of the recall campaign, notes Gascon suddenly backtracked on 2 key policies. No more blanket bans on trying juveniles as adults. No more bans on life sentences.
I believe that his response is because of the ongoing recall effort, and I think he recognizes that the public is not happy with what he has been doing and do not believe in these blanket policies that he has initiated, and that what they want is to make sure that justice is served and that they feel safe in their communities.
Other supporters of the recall campaign agree, among them writer Thea Esky, who says she was also victimized as a child.
What motivates me to get involved in the recall is just the need to make sure that victims have a voice in the process. I mean, Gascon, as a district attorney, has all but abandoned crime victims in favor of criminal defendants.
So back live here outside the Hall of Justice, Alex and Marla, as usual, nothing except a statement from DA Gascon. In fact, much of that issued on a Sunday of a 3-day weekend. As for that recall campaign, organizers say they have not yet announced the number of signatures they've gathered so far. Remember, this is recall number 2, but they have to get almost 600,000 by July, a very expensive and time-consuming process. A lot more in this at 6, and also tonight with you at 7, live downtown. I'm Phil Schumann, Fox 11 News.
Yeah, as Phil just mentioned, we will have more on this story tonight on the Fox 11 News special report at 7 o'clock. Joining us live tonight is...
Okay, so y'all just heard that very disturbing audio right there. So this person right here, they identify as someone named Hannah Tubbs. Yes, this person identifies as a trans individual. Now, I'm gonna admit, when I went into this look and they say about a trans individual, I'm thinking someone who looks like they're in the process of transitioning or they have transitioned already. But this is a whole full grown man right here that we're looking at. This is how this so-called Hannah Tubbs looks today. Like, are y'all really trying to insult my intelligence here with this one right here? Are you really trying to do it? Like I told people before, one of my biggest pet peeves is to insult my intelligence, and my intelligence is being beyond insulted right now. If y'all wanted me to believe that this person is quote unquote trans, and you heard the discussion they were having on the phone. By the way, the person they were talking on the phone with was their dad. Like, this person back in 2014 molested a 10-year-old girl, knew they was wrong about it, and then they gloated about it in a phone conversation with their dad, telling them that they're going to get a slap on the wrist and they just know it's going to happen. I'm just going to get probation and that's going to be that. This is all tea, y'all. This is all tea. That's why I titled the thumbnail the way that I did. Because this is something that happens in that community that they don't want to talk about, but they want to have all this advocacy for them. And what's crazy, even with this coming out, they'll still give them some kind of advocacy. such as the slap on the wrist that he got from this individual right here. This is that the DA. I think they said his name is Gasson. I guess that's his last name. Those of you in California, I'm almost certain that y'all will be able to go into even more detail about who this person is. But his name is George Gasson. And I hate that they actually, in articles that I've seen, have referred to this Tubbs individual as she, when clearly I don't see a she in front of me. But this is the world we live in nowadays. Listen, if we can get non-binary drag queens into the Department of Energy, I guess anything is possible, right? But the reason why this individual right here is under scrutiny is because they were going to charge this Hannah Tubbs, as they call themselves, as a juvenile. I'm going to read what it says. Tubbs pled guilty last month to the cold case attack, which took place in a women's restroom at a Denny's restaurant when the suspect was 2 weeks shy of 18 and identified as a male named James Tubbs. As far as I'm concerned, the person still looks like a James Tubbs, not no damn Hannah. After being arrested roughly 8 years after the crime, which is now, Tubbs began identifying as a woman. That's the same thing that Bruce Lynn Jenner did when he was still Bruce Jenner. When he got in that accident and it caused that person to die, what did they do? Now, mind you, that in that time they was in the stages of transitioning, but they weren't completely all the way there yet. Like, they still looked like Bruce Jenner. But then they sped up and said, you know what? Let's make it let's expedite this thing, like getting a passport. Let's expedite this thing. And before you know it, they became Bruce Lynn Jenner. And when that happened, they could no longer charge somebody known as Bruce Jenner because Bruce Jenner no longer exists. And Caitlyn Jenner, as they call themselves, wasn't the one that caused the accident. See, this is the finesse right here. So this person, they practically got away with it for 8 years. That means they were looking like how they always looked for 8 years. But the minute that they get found out, they decide, I'm going to go ahead and transition, and not even transition. I'm just going to label myself as a woman, and my name is no longer James, it's Hannah. Keep in mind, I showed you the picture of this person, of how they look now. That ain't no Hannah. Maybe a Hank or a Harry or, you know, whatever, another Howard, another H name, but not no Hannah. But this district attorney right here decided that they were going to charge them as a juvenile, and everything that they said in those tapes right there, really, that leaked conversation that this James Tubbs, formerly James Tubbs, had with their dad, pretty much came out in those tapes, in that leaked audio. Like, that is crazy. But I'm not surprised, because this is California we're talking about here. Like, they have some of the weirdest laws that protect people in that academy, especially those in Hall T. This person is not no trans individual. This is a person that linked onto or latched onto the title of trans in order to save their own ass. And now you're probably going to have this person walking around out here doing God knows what, even after now discovering what they did. And this person right here, like, to charge them as a juvenile because at the time they said just shy of 18. Nah, no. But keep in mind, this is the same state that has that SB, what is it, 13, whatever the name of that bill is. But see how much they cater to them? That's crazy. That is insane. But I would like to know, like, any of my California followers out there, like, have y'all heard about this? Because they're going to try to bury this story. I'm almost guaranteeing they're going to try to bury this story. But with that being said, Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you are new. Make sure you have your bell turned on so you can be notified every time I upload a new video or go live.